empathy, the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another. Empathy was once considered a uniquely human trait, almost synonymous with humanity itself. The capacity to be humane and show compassion was considered humankind's highest moral virtue, resembling the nature of God and the angels themselves. In the 18th century, Enlightenment philosophers wrote of evidence for compassion in animals, in the tenderness of mothers for their offspring, and the perils they encounter to save them from danger. In the 19th century, Darwin wrote of animal sympathy and gave examples of animals protecting one another. And now, 2 centuries later, it's been proven beyond doubt, both in scientific studies and a mountain of video evidence, that empathy is a trait that humans inherited, not one that evolved separately. Empathy has now been documented in every species, from elephants to turtles to fish. Studies suggest empathy may have a longer evolutionary history than previously thought, going beyond the 375 million years ago. When scientists say the last common ancestor between fish and humans existed, empathy is deeply rooted in mammal evolution, and our willingness to save others is an ancient trait, which modern humans have inherited. We now know that empathy is a core part of being a social animal and is believed to be fundamental to prosocial, altruistic, and moral behaviors in social animals, including humans. The ability to perceive other individuals' emotions plays a central role for animals living in social groups. And this ability is both learned and innate. Researchers found that brainwaves synchronize when people interact, and the same thing happens in other species. The minds of social species are strikingly resonant, and animals sync brainwaves during social interactions. Heart rates also synchronize when having a shared experience, in humans and in other species. Researchers found that when geese watch other members of their flock have conflicts, their heart rates also increase. Heart synchronization occurs across the species, and studies showed that dogs and horses synchronize hearts with familiar humans. One study reported that when a person accompanying a horse became aroused about a possible future event, both horses and humans displayed an increased heart rate. The innate ability to feel what others are feeling is known as emotional contagion. And it's now been proven to exist in all species, from birds to rats to mice and pigs. Studies found that not only can pigs connect with the emotions of other pigs, they can also do so with pigs who are responding emotionally in anticipation of future events. The capacity to identify emotion in others comes from both an innate ability and the ability to discern emotion from voice, body language, and facial expression. Studies showed that rats can recognize pain on other rats' faces, and that they will avoid looking at photographs of rats in pain. Other studies found that sheep recognize stress or contentment in faces of other sheep, even in photographs. and that cows recognize each other's emotions in their voices. They found that horses read emotion in each other's facial expressions, and that animals mimic the facial expressions of others, even across species. Identifying the subtleties of emotional expression unique to other species can be learned. And other species have learned to identify human emotion in expressions unique to our species. Sheep can recognize human emotion in facial expressions, even in photographs. Goats can also read human facial expressions and prefer positive ones. Studies show that horses not only read human facial expressions, they can also remember a person's previous emotional state when they meet them later that day and change their behavior accordingly. The ability to associate another species' form of emotional expression with that given emotion requires the cognitive understanding of and the mental categorization of emotions. Researchers showed that horses have this because they can match different modes of emotional expression unique to humans in sounds and pictures. Studies showed cats are also able to cross-modally match pictures of emotional faces with their related vocalizations, demonstrating that cats have mental representation of the emotions of their social partners, both conspecifics and humans. Other species have learned to recognize human expression of emotion, such as crying, and they are affected by it. The emotion in our voices also has a direct impact on the emotional state of animals. Studies show that animals are affected by the emotions we charge our voices with when we speak to or are around them. They act based on our emotional state and based on our emotional interactions with others. In one study, horses' behavioral responses were registered while they watched videos of both positive and negative interactions between horses and humans. The horses displayed positive emotional behavior during the positive videos and negative emotional behavior during the negative ones. Just looking at photographs of angry humans caused their hearts to beat faster. Emotional contagion and the ability to understand and recognize emotion in others crosses the species. Other species with an acute sense of smell are acutely aware of the emotional states of others. Dogs, mice, cows, and horses can smell emotions. Rats can smell when people are afraid, even if they're not showing it, and they respond to the emotional state of human handlers. The ability to recognize emotional expression in other species requires emotional intelligence and empathy. Studies showed that those who do well on human empathy tests are also measurably better at decoding the emotional sounds of animals. Recognizing emotion in others is the first stage of empathy. The second stage is altruism, taking action to improve someone else's welfare.